Hi! If you clicked on this video out of curiosity, yes, I did snap a biceps tendon. You can see it here. It's all weird looking. It looks like one half of it has fallen down into the lower part of my arm. And yes, I did do it by juggling, or at least it happened while I was juggling. I actually caught the moment that it happened on video. Not on purpose, of course, I just happened to be filming. I'll show you that video in just a second. You're probably wondering how it's possible to injure yourself by juggling. If you're not a juggler, it may not make a lot of sense. When you think of juggling, you probably picture something like this. But I'm talking about something more like this. Now, I just want to be upfront about the fact that I am using my current situation as an excuse to show off some juggling. I have always intended to do some juggling on my channel, but of course, I didn't imagine having to do it to explain a broken biceps tendon. Anyway, I've never talked about it on my channel, but I used to be a very serious juggler. I was even a professional juggler for a few years in the 80s and 90s. Unfortunately, I don't have any video from my early days, but here's a picture from 1986, complete with silly-looking Renaissance fair costume. Now, because part of my purpose here is to show off, I just want to make it clear that I'm very rusty. I stopped juggling seriously in the summer of 1998, and I haven't practiced much since then. Also, all of the ball juggling shown here was done on January 1st, 2023, with my broken biceps tendon. So things were not exactly optimal. But as far as the tendon rupture itself, that happened while I was juggling clubs. All of the club juggling that I'm going to show happened on December 3rd, 2022, the day of the incident. And with club juggling, I was even more rusty. Before this day, shown in these videos, I'm not even sure when was the last time I touched my clubs. I had to go searching for them in the garage. Also, my left shoulder was killing me and I was being very cautious. I know I sound like I'm making a bunch of excuses, but the juggling is kind of shaky here, and I just want you guys to understand that I used to be much better than this. Anyway, despite all that, I was pleasantly surprised at how well I did. Like here, it only took me 2 tries to balance a club, juggle 3, then drop down to 4. I didn't really expect that to work at all. And these behind the back throws worked surprisingly well after only a few tries. So I was pretty happy about how well the juggling was going, right up until the moment that something in my arm popped. Before I show it to you, I just want to make clear that although it did happen while I was juggling, juggling was only the proximal cause. It was a very small straw that broke the camel's back. The ultimate cause was definitely my calisthenics training. I'm 56 and I'm still trying to learn planges and front levers and things. I had had a lot of pain in my left shoulder ever since last summer. And something had started to shift in my shoulder when I did pull-ups. I felt it in my shoulder, not my arm. It went on for 6 or 7 months, and finally about 3 weeks before the incident, I stopped working out because I felt like my shoulder was getting worse. I actually started juggling again because I thought it would be therapeutic, and because I need something to work on. Alright, so here's the run that actually broke the tendon. It was a really nice run of 4 clubs, including some of my old tricks. I'm going to narrate just so you can get a sense of what's going on. I started out with a standard pattern, 2 clubs in each hand, staggered and using double spins. Got a nice little run of triple singles there. Kind of surprised that I got in and out of that without too much trouble. And then a run of single spins, which are very hard with 4 clubs because you have to throw them so fast that it's hard to control the spin. Anyway, back up to doubles and then 1 high throw to bring the staggered pattern into an even pattern with both hands throwing at the same time. And here, I'm about to try a really cool pattern called a 4-club split, if I can ever get things back under control. And that's it right there. Doesn't last long. And then 1 high throw to bring it back to a staggered pattern, but then things are all over the place, and I make a mad scramble to catch everything. And of course, I can't resist a goofy, applaud for me now finish, even though no one's watching. You can't tell when it happened, right? I can't either. But it was somewhere in that mad scramble at the end there, sometime in the last 2 or 3 seconds that it popped. I'm pretty sure that the thing that made it pop was this high throw that I made with my left hand, right here, as I was trying to bring the 2 and 2 pattern back to a staggered pattern. Either throwing that club high, or catching it a second later, also done with the left hand. The reason you can't tell when it happened is that it didn't hurt. I even juggled some more right after it happened. It felt a lot like a joint cracking, except more intense. Not only did it not hurt, it actually made my shoulder feel better. Most of the pain I'd been having in my shoulder was gone. My bicep felt funny, but my shoulder pain was mostly gone. And then, a little while later, I saw myself in the mirror and I was like, that doesn't look right. Now, I've got a couple more videos in the works about exactly what I did to damage that tendon that made it so weak in the first place, and about the physiology. The thing that broke was the long head of the biceps tendon where it connects to the shoulder. I am having it surgically repaired in a couple of days. I'll keep you updated on my progress. So, is juggling a dangerous activity? In general, I'd say no. But clearly, it is possible to rupture a tendon while juggling, under the right circumstances. So, if you're older, maybe you haven't done it in a while, or if you have some reason to think that you have tendon damage, maybe you should do it cautiously. Also, clubs aren't exactly heavy. They weigh about 8 ounces, but if you're throwing them high and fast, it does involve a fair amount of force. I realize I'm talking to a fairly small audience here. But aside from the juggling, this is also a cautionary tale about getting older and continuing to push your physical limits. Because the real cause of my injury was my intense calisthenics training. But now in 2020 hindsight, I think I have a pretty clear understanding of what I did that led to this and what I could have done differently. I don't think that this kind of thing is inevitable. I think you can avoid injuries like this by training smarter than I did. More to come on that subject in the next few videos. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this video informative, or at least entertaining. If you did enjoy it, please hit that like button, leave me a comment, and subscribe for more content like this. Good luck with your training, and I'll see you in the next video.